Hey Saggy, welcome to my channel. So this is going to be an energy check-in for you for 2026 Sagittarius. Happy birthday. If you've already celebrated a birthday or you still have one coming, still another 6 days for Saggy season. So let's see what's going on for you in 2026. It's so interesting, Sag. I've only just realized or recognized that your energy is very much like Scorpio. Very, very much like Scorpio energy. You just express it differently. And where Scorpio goes within, you go without. Or you go outside of yourself, with music, with a sense of humor. And reflecting on all my Sagittarian connections, I now realize like when shit gets too deep, they either shut it down with humor or disappear. So it's very much a Scorpio energy, but also you could have strong Scorpio placements as well, depending on your birth time. But even so, because you are next to Scorpio in the zodiac wheel. Okay, Saggy, so I do feel like you are already starting to sense the energy of the horse in 2026. And it is just an energy. We don't have to box it as a timeline. We don't have to force ourselves to be a certain way. But it is the energy of horse. And we've just, we're coming out now of the year of the snake energy, which was pretty intense. If I look at the readings, if I look at what I went through transformationally, it was intense. A rebirth, transformation, releasing, shedding, which is not, those aren't easy themes. Those aren't easy things to do. Coupled with the 9 year. So I feel like you are going back and forth between hyping yourself up about the new year. I almost feel the sense of hype, motivating yourself. I can see what they're showing me is someone in a boxing, the silk gowns that they wear with the gloves on, kind of like a rocky scene, air punching and hyping yourself up. It just feels like a hype energy. And then you become exhausted and you sit down again. And now they're showing me, when a boxer sits down and hangs his arms over the side, what do you call it, railings or whatever, and is sweating and exhausted and exhaling, can't get his breath. But this is the distraction I was talking about, Sagittarius, is you want to immerse yourself in the festivity of December. You want to immerse yourself in the December energy. This year's December is very different though. It's not Decembering. It's not giving the same energy as, December usually does. And I think you can feel that, and it's making you extremely uncomfortable because this is your month, this is your energy. And there's a certain sense of releasing that's happening in your energy, Sag. There's a grief that comes with that. And this is where the Scorpio aspect comes in. Maybe you're grieving something that you have been working on that you've needed to, pivot and move away from. You could be grieving old relationships. You could be grieving connections that were lost. an old way of being. Maybe you're relocating and, you know, grieving your old home. Whatever it is that resonates for you, Sag, there's a sense of loss that I'm picking up in your energy, and a sense of wanting to distract that loss with a like a hype energy. But that distraction doesn't last long. And so it's important, and I know I said it in your previous reading and also in the Sag season reading for the rest of the zodiac, is it's important, extremely important for you to allow the processing of any emotion that's coming up, to allow the release of it. Because it does, sorry, Sag, this adjustment, it does, it doesn't help to store it. And even if you release in little bits at a time, that's also perfectly okay, because you also don't have to do it all at once. There's no rule to transformation, there's no rules to growth, there's no rules to healing. In fact, most of the time I'm just like, what is the point of all of this? Like, why do we have to push ourselves? Why do we have to grow? Why? But one of my mentors, it's very wise, said to me when I asked him this question, when I just did my Reiki Masters, he said that the universe, the multiverse, is continuously expanding. Everything around us is continuously changing. So if we want to match that energy, if we want to be relevant in our existence in a world that is constantly shifting and evolving, in fact, Earth itself is shifting timelines right now. And I think this is why the energy feels so strange this December, is timelines are shifting. The dynamic is shifting, the energy is shifting, and it's almost, and now what they're showing me is, you know, when like a dog shakes its body and this water just goes flying off, or fleas, or an elephant like shakes its ears to get rid of, you know, whatever is biting its ears. That's a sense that I'm getting. They showed me Earth shuddering or shaking, and everything that doesn't fit the, you know, the energy anymore is getting flung out. Obviously not literally, but what it will look like in our lives is a sense of chaos or no direction, or a lot of, you know, intense, difficult lessons coming up. And that is why the growth is important. That is why the evolving is important. That is why the emotional release is important, you know, because if you're holding on to it, it is affecting you physically, mentally as well, energetically. And that's maybe why you're feeling the drain, Sagittarius. Even if you're trying to hype yourself up, you may be finding that this year is a little bit different. Like you can't seem to force yourself to distract any longer. And the old distractions no longer hold the same deliciousness. They no longer hold the same sense of value. In fact, you might be feeling a sense of boredom from the old distractions. You know, it's like you start dancing to a playlist to hype yourself up, and then you realize that this is not having the same effect it used to have on me. And so I see you sitting down and maybe just having a good old-fashioned cry, or purging in other ways, you know, maybe with intense exercise, but still, you know, there's some stuck emotion that I'm sensing for some of you that just need to be released. If you're still listening, because I know a lot of the Sagittarians probably went, oh no, I'm not going to listen to this Debbie Downer. And it's not that, Sag. It's really not that. I'm not telling you to have a depressing December. What I am saying is it's time to face and acknowledge some of those deep emotions that you've been avoiding or distracting yourself from, if you want to move forward without that baggage, if you want to move forward with a sense of freedom. Okay, so let's see what the cards have to say, Sag. Spirit, please and thank you for the sign of Sagittarius, strong placements, messages of love and guidance for 2026, for the remainder of 2025. Spirit, the most important messages that need to come through for the sign of Sagittarius. Only messages of love, light, and guidance. Negative energy must leave the space now. And again, oh, at the bottom of the deck, this came out for Scorpio. It's not about, and when I was about to say it, I saw this card, which is amazing. Thank you, Spirit. It's not about dwelling in the emotion either. It's not about looking at what was lost and looking at the past and ruminating over it and immersing yourself in it and, dwelling in that energy. That's definitely not what I'm saying at all. But this is where we can get stuck if we keep distracting. This is where we can get stuck somewhere in our emotional body, mental body, if we don't release. And it can manifest in, frustration and anger. Those emotions then start to find other ways of drawing your attention, because the sadness isn't drawing your attention. So, it will, not that emotions don't have a life of their own, but there is a release that needs to happen. It's like a pressure cooker. It's like a volcano that wants to explode. That energy has to go somewhere. And I think that's what you're feeling, is the buildup. Okay, Sag, only jumpers, only jumpers. Fast moving energy, Sag. This is your card. This could be communication. This could be fast moving, incoming or outgoing communication. A conversation that needs to happen. A spiritual conversation or a passionate conversation. This could also be downloads for you, Sag, because it's coming from the cosmos. It's coming from the ether down to earth. So, and the ones represent, spiritual energy, spiritual messages. It's fire energy. Something is being transmuted very quickly here. This could also, this is also the hype energy that I was feeling, that you're trying to move swiftly through this transformation, but it doesn't happen like that, Sag. It's not how it's going to happen. You have been getting some intuitive downloads as well about certain things that need to shift or change, Sagittarius. It's an 8 card as well, 8 of Wands, and 8 is about prosperity. Some of you may be buying a new home. Card of Scorpio. Your energy as well. Death and rebirth. This is the rebirth, the transformation that I was talking about, Sag. This is about taking the time to integrate whatever you have lost. And I forgot what I said now because I was channeling. I forgot what I said in the beginning, but I do remember that it was about a sense of loss that I was feeling, that you're trying to distract yourself from. And very similar to the Scorpio reading, I said that, you will grieve the loss of certain things. Um, and it can feel very uncomfortable. You want to move back to old ways of being or go back to connections because of that feeling of grief. Because without that person or situation, grief is just love with nowhere to go. This is about releasing, rebirthing, and allowing yourself the rest. It's a new cycle. The cycles need to end. There's a cycle that needs to end here, Sag. Those fell. Only jumpers, please and thank you. Oh my God. The Tower. Another card of Scorpio. So this is what happens when, and this is the shake-up that they were showing me with the earth, with the dog like shaking itself, shaking the fleas off. Or this is the shake-up that will come in, and this is divine intervention, major arcana. Now you've got 2 Scorpio major arcana cards out here. It's interesting that in the beginning I chose to talk about the energy of Scorpio and how you embody that, but how you avoid that, Sag. And it's when we avoid that the Tower moments tend to come in, because the Tower moment is like a wake-up call. It's, you're not listening. Let's, do something. It could be a health scare. It could be something that shifts. It doesn't even have to be that dramatic. It's something that causes you to wake up and realize that the illusion of your choices, or the illusion of whatever is going on around you, needs to fall. Anything that is not built on a solid, authentic, grounded foundation is going to collapse. And these are good cards to have because they help us, they usher us into new ways of being, almost without any choice. And I think it's because of this energy you're holding on to and not releasing, Sag, that you can't find your mojo this December. And this is not going to resonate for everybody. There might be some really happy Saggies out there that have done the release, but then they probably won't be watching tarot. But this is definitely about a new cycle, Sag. There's something you're holding on to that has served its lifetime. It served its purpose, and it needs to be released. Feeling left out in the cold, feeling abandoned. It's a sense of, and these are all feelings that, we have. It can come from childhood, it can come from many different life experiences, but it is, maybe this is what you're releasing, Sagittarius, is maybe your fear of being vulnerable, your fear of being exposed. If you do step into the healing, if you do sit with the emotion, you don't want to feel what it feels like to cry sometimes. I know when I'm on the verge of having a good cry, I try to stop myself, but then when I do start crying, it feels like such a beautiful release, because your tears do carry hormones. They do contain hormones. They contain stress hormones specifically that are then released. I mean, it's our natural way. The body is freaking amazing, and tears are just as amazing. So if they are not released, they are being stored and crystallized in the body. Something as small as tears can rebalance your whole energetic and emotional state. But there's this fear here, Sag, that you have, that of releasing for some reason, of being vulnerable for some reason. Maybe you've had bad experiences of showing vulnerability and being judged or being rejected for that, but not everyone is the same. So it's releasing this energy that I feel is coming in for you, Sag, in 2026 is a release. Hierophant, conditioning, card of Taurus. You could be dealing with a Taurus, but this is about commitment. This is about rules, regulations. This is so interesting because Scorpio got this card as well. So if you do have strong Scorpio placements, go check out the Scorpio reading. It is about understanding what rules and regulations and conditioning serves you, because there is room for that, versus what is limiting you. This is about looking at your desires and understanding, am I in alignment with my desires, or am I doing things because I think this is how they are supposed to be done, according to everyone around me, society, family, obligation. And this is where we can get stuck and become resentful and lose our way, Sag, is when we start to define our futures and desires, in line with what we think is expected of us. But all of those people, and some of you might think it's selfish not to, but all of those people are not living your life. It is your life. No one's going to be around when you are, sitting in this energy. People are not going to be there when you've realized that you've done everything for everybody else, for their recognition, and to not feel abandoned, to not feel rejected, to not feel ousted. Survivor, the tribe has spoken kind of vibe. And then you end up feeling isolated anyway, because you've made choices that were made to please other people, or to satisfy, or to uphold a certain image. And all those people disappear, and you're just left alone with the consequences of those choices. So it's about understanding, Sag, what are the conditioning that you would like to keep? What are the rules you would like to keep? And what are the rules that you would like to break? It's moving away from self-entrapment, because these rules, Sag, can keep us feeling trapped, can keep us feeling stuck. But this is a card, the Eight of Swords is a card of self-entrapment. It's a card of mental entrapment. It's the things that we say to ourselves, it's the things that we believe, thoughts, beliefs, limited beliefs, that keep us heavy and keep us tied. She's not actually trapped. She can walk away from these swords. She can walk forward. She can, these bounds are loosely tied. But there's water underneath her feet. And again, I feel this is the stuck emotion that needs release, that needs releasing, Sag. Bottom of the deck, it's an inner conflict that you're having right now. It's definitely, I sense, inner conflict that you are having about this. It might be a decision, that really, really is going to impact maybe a lot of people that you love or are close to. But, and as I started shuffling the Ten of Swords energy, which is the end of a cycle that has been hurting you. You may not have, been admitting it, but in your quiet moments, Sag, Okay, anything else for Sag, Spirit, please and thank you. Anything else? Yes, that's your energy, Sag. The Knight of Wands. Finding your impulsiveness again, finding your This is the rule breaker, by the way. If there was ever a rule breaker in the tarot, this is him. And it is your card. Knight of Wands. Very impulsive, creative. It's fire energy. Is a fast moving knight. Doesn't, it's not always a good energy. You obviously, everything in moderation, even moderation in moderation, everything in moderation. You do need some of this energy back, Sag. You need this spark again, this feeling of impulsiveness, this feeling of creativity, passion, desire, spiritual insight. That is coming through for you, Sag. I'm so glad. The energy just shifted in the room. The energy just shifted in my body when that card came out. Only jumpers, please. Thank you. Please and thank you. Wow. Okay. 2 major arcana. New beginnings. Taking a leap of faith. I love that. Trusting your intuition. Card of Pisces, card of Aries. So you could be dealing with Aries or Pisces. You don't have to be. But the full energy is about, and it's the major arcana. So this is divine intervention. This is not your day-to-day decisions. This is not a day-to-day thing. This is like a big leap of faith. This is something that's out of, your norm, out of the template. Trusting your intuition about it. This is also a card of intuition. Trusting your intuition, and this is about your celebration. It's about celebrating your desires, what you want, Sag. This is my 1111 card. 4 of Wands. It's about celebration. It's about following your desires. This could also be engagement. For some of you, leveling up a relationship. It could be a twin flame relationship. It can be a soulmate relationship as well for some of you that you have been, going back and forth with, but, you're now realizing that this is where this feels like home. This is a card that feels like home, and you want to come back home to yourself, Sag, and to what makes you happy. I love that. Intuition. No more holding on to everything that everyone else expects you to hold on to. Wow, repeating message. So this is happening very quickly for you, Sag. I feel like this energy is coming in quickly. 8 of Wands again is your energy again. This is a spiritual download that you've been receiving. This is through prayer or meditation or however you connect to God, to Source. You have been receiving insights and messages about what to do next. And it is about trusting that, Sag, moving into 2026 so that you move in with no baggage. The Fool is someone that doesn't take any baggage with him. He's got that small sack on his stick. That's all. It's, he just takes that step with unapologetic abandon. What is the next chapter? This is a new cycle. What are we leaving behind? And if we don't consciously make this decision, this energy comes in to support us in, or to push us over the edge. I love that saying, what if I fall? Come to the edge. What if I fall? But my darling, what if you fly? And are you going to take the risk of not knowing that, Sag, is the question for 2026. Okay, Sag, I'm sending you so much love and happy birthday again if your birthday is still coming up. And enjoy the festive season, Sag, if you are celebrating Christmas. Merry Christmas, happy birthday, Jesus. If not, enjoy the time with your loved ones. Stay safe, and thank you for being here on the channel. Thank you for supporting the channel. Sending you so much of love. Until next time, Saggy.